like to say good morning. My name is Diana Rogers. I am Senior Community Development Officer at the NJEDA, and I would like to welcome you to our Small Business Lease Grant and Small Business Improvement Grant listening and information session for Paterson businesses. And before we get into the presentation, I would like to thank Michael Powell, the Director of Economic Development, and his team for supporting this session and your local economy. Mike, would you like to say a few words to your city businesses that have joined us today?
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. My name is Mike Palin, the Director of Economic Development for the City of Paterson. I want to thank our colleagues at New Jersey Economic Development Authority who have been with us each step of the way. It's been a very challenging time coming through COVID. Helping our business community both take advantage of various incentives that come from the federal, state level has been really important for folks to keep their doors open. And so today's informational session is another way to kind of look at what are some of the small business improvement grants that are out there, how can you best qualify for them, and what are some of the small business lease grants that are also available to other entities that may be starting new businesses or coming to town as well. I would like to give a shout out to Penny Forestieri, who runs our Urban Enterprise Zone program. And I also want to thank Orlando Cruz, who's also the head of our local Chamber of Commerce and also our Special Improvement District specifically for downtown, who helped get the word out on the street in terms of this session. And there will be others to come as well. We're coming down the pipeline on what's called the American Rescue Plan funds that are also available. And I think many of them will also be designed to help the business community in a couple different ways. So we do realize that this has been a hard chapter. We also know that there's other state funds that are coming with regards to the urban enterprise zone. And so that's other ways for businesses to take advantage of tax incentives and other cost saving measures that'll be really important. And so I just, on behalf of the SAY administration, the mayor also may join us at some point just to say hi to the business community. I think we're about 100 participants deep on today's event, which is fantastic. And so again, I just want to thank our friends at NJEDA, Diana and Christina and everybody. That's just been fantastic. So again, enjoy the information. If you guys have further questions, again, it will be recorded. And our office is always standing by to be of assistance should anyone need it. So thank you so much in advance and enjoy the information.
Thank you, Michael. And so we're going to get started in a bit. But before we get started, just a few instructions regarding questions and answers. Please be aware that we will have time for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. However, if you would like to put questions in the chat, please feel free to do so during the presentation, and we will get back to you through the chat, or we will answer at the end of the session. And so I just want to start off again by saying welcome. Again, I am the Senior Community Development Officer at NJEDA, and my primary focus is on government restricted municipalities, or GRMs, which Paterson is one of three. There are three GRMs in the state of New Jersey, and that they would be Paterson, Trenton, and Atlantic City. And they were established through the Economic Recovery Act of 2020. I serve as the liaison between the GRMs and NJEDA, ensuring that the municipality, its community stakeholders, and businesses are able to take full advantage of the products and services offered by NJEDA. And as products and services roll out, it is my responsibility to ensure that you are made aware of what is available. And I, along with our team of professionals at NJEDA, will accomplish this through briefings, one-on-one meetings, workshops, seminars, and listening sessions like we have today, as well as through our social media. And so I just want to now tell you a bit about NJEDA. So EDA is New Jersey's principal agency focused on driving economic growth to create a stronger and fairer New Jersey. The EDA grows the state's economy and increases equitable access to opportunities by supporting high-quality job creation, catalyzing investment, and fostering vibrant, inclusive community development. And to achieve these goals, we work in partnership with a diverse range of stakeholders to implement programs and initiatives that improve the quality of life, for New Jersey residents, enhance economic vitality, and strengthen New Jersey's long-term economic competitiveness. Now, over the last 18 months, NJEDA's top priority has been supporting businesses and communities that have been impacted by COVID-19. During the 18 months, the authority issued more than 92,000 awards, which equaled more than $665 million to businesses across New Jersey. And those numbers continue to change daily as the authority continues to fund applications. And you will see here on our next slide that an example of some of the programs and services and funding that was made available to New Jersey businesses. Here is an example. So you'll see that EDA supported a variety of loans and grants to micro businesses and entrepreneurs. We've also supported meals to hundreds of thousands of New Jerseyans through our Sustain and Serve program. Now, as we move beyond the immediate challenges of COVID-19, NJEDA shifted focus to provide long-term sustainable support for small businesses and communities. And a guiding light has been the efforts of the New Jersey Economic Recovery Act of 2020. The act was signed in January of 2021, and it creates a package of programs that includes tax credits to incentivize job creation, new construction and revitalization of brownfields and historic properties. It also provides financial resources for small businesses. It supports new supermarkets and healthy food retailers and food desert communities, as well as funding opportunities for early stage companies in New Jersey. And finally, it provides support for the growing film and digital media industry. And some of the priorities for the program, the ERA specifically was designed to achieve long-term equitable economic growth that aligns with the priorities laid out in Governor Murphy's economic plan. And as you see, those priorities are to invest in people. It was important to Governor Murphy that we invest in people. We invest in our communities, and we make New Jersey a state of innovation, as well as making sure that government worked better. And so in order to do that and to achieve these goals, the ERA creates 8 new programs, and it expands on 7 of the existing programs. And these new programs listed here that you see provide a wide range of proven and innovative supports for businesses of all sizes, from incentives to help developers clean up contaminated historic properties to groundbreaking New Jersey Innovation Evergreen Fund. And so as we move forward, some of the underlying principles of the new programs are supporting job creation, investing in innovation, providing relief to Main Street businesses, as well as helping underserved communities and implementing anti-corruption and oversight reform. And with that oversight reform, you'll see that it was important that the program ensured transparency and accountability moving throughout the program. Now, 2 of the most exciting programs of the ERA are the Emerge program and the Aspire program. Now, with Emerge and Aspire, these programs are the successors of the Grow New Jersey and the Economic Redevelopment and Growth Tax Credit programs, and Economic and Growth program, better known as ERG. The Emerge program specifically encourages economic development, job creation, in priority sectors and in targeted communities across New Jersey. The program provides pre-job tax credits to projects that invest private capital into the state and create new good paying jobs, or retain a large number of good paying jobs. In GRM cities, specifically when we talk about Paterson, projects can receive anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 per new job created or retained per year for 7 years. And that's important when we talk about GRM cities and when we talk about the need to incentivize development. Other projects locating in GRM cities, can max out at $8,000. Additionally, the threshold for projects that have a combination of new and retained jobs is lower in GRM cities like Paterson, as well as the net benefit to the state. So again, it's bonuses like these that incentivize development in a city like Paterson. And so we want to make sure that information gets out there to developers and investors and individuals who are interested in doing business in Paterson. Now, the Aspire program is a gap financing tool to support commercial and mixed use and residential real estate development projects that replaces the ERG tax credit program. And like Emerge, the program has benefits to Paterson. With Aspire, one such benefit is the minimum cost, project cost threshold. With Aspire, the minimum project cost thresholds are based on population, where the project is taking place. For instance, in other cities, based on their population, their minimum threshold will change based on population. But for the city of Paterson, because it is a GRM, the minimum threshold per project cost is $5 million, regardless of population. So you see, there's that benefit. So a developer coming in knows that at a minimum, they would need to just put in $5 million, regardless of the population, which is very different from other cities across the state. Now, the Aspire is planned to roll out in the early part of 2022. And if you would like more information on either Emerge or Aspire, we would encourage you to go to our website to learn about the full program. And now I want to shift over to my colleague, Carla Marson, who will provide you more information on the Main Street Finance Program.
Good morning, Paterson, New Jersey. Thanks for having me. And one of the various ERA programs that I'm going to focus on today is our Main Street Recovery Program. And while Emerge and Aspire will foster vibrant community spaces, the Main Street Recovery Program will provide the financial boost businesses and nonprofits need to reopen and prepare for long-term success in the aftermath of COVID-19. Now, this $100 million program will fund multiple financial assistance products and is aimed at supporting the growth and the success of New Jersey small businesses. These products will include grants for small businesses and nonprofits, loans to micro businesses, and resources for lenders that serve micro businesses and other historically disadvantaged communities. Now, the first two products created under the Main Street Recovery Program are the Small Business Lease Grant and the Small Business Improvement Grant. Now, these products are aimed at revitalizing downtowns by helping businesses lease street-level space or make investments in improving their facade or their space. The Small Business Lease Grant is a $10 million program that will provide 2 grants of up to 20% of the annual lease payments to businesses and nonprofits entering into a new or amended lease. The first grant will be paid to entities immediately after they are approved for the program and execute the grant agreement. And the second grant will be paid after the first year of the lease. Now, in order to qualify for the Small Business Lease Grant, businesses and nonprofits must enter a new lease, a lease amendment, or lease extension that includes at least 250 square feet of street level office space, commercial or retail space. Applicants must commit to remaining in the lease for at least 5 years. And for more information about that, it is available on our website, and we also will make it available in the chat. Now, commercial businesses and nonprofits are eligible to apply as long as they meet SBA's definition of a small business, which is determined by their NAICS code. The applicant will need to provide a current tax clearance certificate, for which we have instructions right on our website for it. Applicants must also be in good standing with the Department of Labor and the Department of Environmental Protection. Applicants also must certify at time of application that they will pay wages that are greater of $15 an hour or 120% of the minimum wage rate, and that they'll remain in the facility for 5 years. Now, these lease space must follow the following eligibility requirements. And those requirements are: it has to be 250 square feet up to 10,000 square feet of commercial or retail space with a minimum of 5-year term. Now, if it is over 10,000 square feet, that is okay. We will do the grant for up to the first 10,000 square feet. It must be a new lease, an amendment or extension of an existing lease. New or amended space must be at least 250 square feet. So that addition that you have to do has to be a minimum of 250 square feet if you're amending a lease. It must include the first floor, which we consider street level. So if it is a multi-level business, we will do the grant based on the street level. It must be market rate based on commercial estate information. And the lease cannot be executed more than 12 months prior to your application. Now, here are some very important exclusions. Applicants cannot terminate an existing lease and enter into a new lease for the sake of this grant. Businesses operating under an existing small business lease assistance program agreement are not eligible to apply, but may opt out of their existing grant agreement to pursue this grant. Grantees that default on lease payments or leave the space during their grant term are no longer eligible for the incentive and must repay any funding that they received from EDA. High-tech and business incubator members in non-for-profit facilities are not eligible for independent lease incentives. However, the operators of the incubators are eligible. Landlords cannot have ownership interests in the tenant, and the tenant would need to get certification from the landlord that they are current on their lease payments. Now, in regards to our Small Business Improvement Grant, this is a $15 million program that will provide grants up to $50,000 to businesses and nonprofits for a portion of costs associated with the facade and facility improvements and the purchase or installation of furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The project has to be completed and paid for prior to applying. Grants are available for projects that were completed anytime since March 9th, 2020. Important, March 9th, 2020. And with the total project cost has to be $5,000 or more. Businesses and nonprofits that receive grants less than $25,000 must commit to remaining in the space that they are investing in for at least 2 years. Grant recipients who receive $25,000 or more must stay in the space for at least 4 years. And projects that have a total cost of greater than $50,000 are required to adhere to green building standards for mechanical and lighting improvements. And we do have more information on the improvement grant on our website as well, and we will make sure that it's in the chat also. And to be eligible for the Small Business Improvement Grant, the applicants must meet the following criteria. And that includes meeting SBA's definition of a small business, rent or own and operate from facility that, as a commercial business, must provide a current tax clearance certificate, just like the other one, and certify at time of the application that they are not in default of EDA and state assistance, and the minimum wage requirement is applicable as well. Now, in order to be eligible for reimbursement for the projects, it must be completed prior to application. Now, home-based businesses are eligible, but only for the purchase or installation of furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the business. All work must have been completed within 2 years of your application date, but not before March 2020. We will take invoices, statements, and/or cancel checks to be provided as proof of payment for the work being done. In its entirety, the requirements for the Main Street Recovery Program are minimum wage requirements, as we stated before, green building standards, and that means the small businesses improvement grant projects with a total of over 50,000, again, must adhere to green building standards. For the purpose of the improvement grant, this is applicable to mechanical and lighting improvements only. It has to be in line with affirmative action. So if the contractors have 4 or more employees in total, then they are subject to affirmative action requirements. And in addition to the Small Business Lease Grant and the Business Improvement Grant, EDA intends to pilot additional products to be funded through Main Street Recovery Program. Now, the products currently under development include low-cost working capital loans of up to $50,000 for micro businesses and loans to micro business lenders to help them increase capacity under their existing loan programs or to establish new micro business lending programs. Lenders who participate in the program will also receive grants to support technical assistance services such as credit repair, assistance with writing business plans, and help preparing financial statements for micro businesses that receive loans from them. The eligible lenders that qualify for these programs will include CDFIs, which are community development financial institutions, minority depository institutions, zone development corporations in cities with a population of at least 100,000 or more, community development corporations, economic developed corporations, and nonprofit lenders with at least 10 years of experience in lending to micro businesses. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Maggie Peters. Thank you.
Good morning, Maggie Peters, Program Manager for the non-lending side for Small Business Services. I'm just going to take you all through a very quick overview of NJEDA's standard small business services products. So I'm going to start with direct loans. The EDA offers small businesses a variety of low-cost financing options, including direct loans, loan participations and guarantees, lines of credit, and tax-exempt bond financing. New Jersey businesses in need of financing and are committed to job creation are the best candidates for these programs because we do require job creation and retention to be eligible for the direct loans specifically. Loans of up to $2 million are available for fixed assets or $750,000 loans for working capital. We have flexible interest rates, longer terms. It just depends on the applicant. Next slide, please. So we also have a premier lender program. In addition to the direct loans, we partner with banks to overcome the financial obstacles that can stall the growth and expansion of businesses and not-for-profits within New Jersey. Through these partnerships, we can make low-cost financing for businesses a reality. We partner with these premier lenders to get the most attractive interest rates and terms and flexibility because everybody is taking less risk, both the bank and the EDA, so we're able to create the best product for the business. These are our premier lender banks. As you can see, banks of all sizes, big banks, small banks, community banks. So the way that this usually works is whoever you bank with, we work with your banker and we see how we can partner to make sure that the business is getting the most flexible and best interest rate and terms. We also partner with our CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions. We have a loan to lender program to better assist smaller businesses. So NJEDA created the CDFI Loan to Lenders program to leverage our CDFI partners, making sure that we're getting funding to the smallest and micro businesses within communities. So that's how we work with our CDFIs, and we make sure that they're administering term loans, lines of credit to qualified micro and small businesses. We also have a small business bonding readiness assistance program. So of course, sometimes money isn't all that a business needs. Businesses typically need financing, but there's a technical assistance component too that is equally as important, so that that money is allocated in the best way. And that business will continue to have access to financing. So this is the technical assistance component that the EDA partners with the African American Chamber of Commerce on. This program is basically a comprehensive series of classes, workshops, and counseling sessions that include bonding and insurance, business development, financial presentation, access to capital, construction and contract law, construction management, estimating, understanding your finances. So it's getting businesses ready so that they can get access to government contracts. So at the end of this program, all the participating businesses receive a bonding readiness segment report, and that report will identify all the strengths and weaknesses that the business has, so that they can address those weaknesses, build on the strengths, get some of these government contracts that are available. And so this program helps them do that. It also connects these entities with surety bonding, so they can become bonded, which is what allows them to pursue state and federal contracts and help grow their business in that way as well. To date, nearly 100 businesses have participated in the program and have qualified for $33 million in surety bonding through this program. So this is something that we're really proud of. And that is it for me. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you have in the chat or live. Thank you.
And so what we'll do at this point is we'll begin to take questions. And we're asking that you either put your questions in the chat or you use the raise hand function of Zoom so that you can be unmuted to ask your question live.
It does look like we have some folks. So Roland, I'm going to, you should get a message allowing you to talk and ask your question. Go ahead.
Yes, hi everyone. Good morning. Thank you for the presentation. I wanted to know when the improvement grant, the small business improvement grant, will go live.
So the improvement grant is expected to launch end of November, early December.
And if I have employees that I plan to hire, we have a start project in November 14th, mid-November. Would they qualify toward this grant if I already submitted all the details through the portal and did the request form?
Yeah, I mean, if they're on the payroll reports that you provide us, then yes, they will be included.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else with their hand raised. Oh, right, Diana, good stuff. Good stuff. More people coming in. Hold on a second. Rena? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I'm actually her husband. She's at work, but we're both partners, and we run a food pantry. And the reason I shared this with her and she did the recon was because of the nonprofit portion of this meeting that I think Miss Morrison spoke on. Coincidentally, we were just finishing renovations or doing work in the church to in the food pantry itself, and had to stop, and we're just gonna leave it the way it is now. It's functioning and able to be used, but there's still more work that needs to be done. And I'm wondering, how can I benefit through this? We're street, according to what you required, a street ministry, like it's in street level rather. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
I would like to know, how can I benefit, or can I benefit from any grant, to continue what we started? And the projects are done. We just finished literally like this week.
Okay, so you're talking about the improvement grant and not the lease grant, correct? You haven't signed a lease in the last 12 months?
No, we pay a mortgage.
Okay. So in terms of the improvement grant, it is a reimbursement for expenses that you've already incurred over the last 2 years
Okay.
from the date of application. So if you apply tomorrow, 2 years from tomorrow, back.
I thought there was like, my understanding, there was a date period that if a project, it goes back, like proactive, if you started a project prior to a certain date, that we can apply for the funds, some funds for that project?
On or after March 9th, 2020, which is when the governor declared the pandemic state of emergency. So it has to be after that date, but
Which
within
is-
2 years of the date of application. So these are not like emergency relief programs. These are not COVID programs. These are programs that are going to hopefully get an appropriation every year. So as this program lives on, it's 2 years from the date of application. So that's why there's the March 9th date. So just make sure it's after March 9th and then you should be fine.
Okay. And I would, how do I move forward for applying? I get my applications where?
So Carla put the application links in the chat, but the improvement grant is not going to go live until like the end of November probably, or early December. So what the best thing that you should do is you should go to NJEDA.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage and make sure that you put whatever email you check the most frequently in there and sign up for the newsletter, because that way you'll get all the updates on new program launches and the dates that you'll need to apply for this stuff.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I think that also answered Joseph DePazio, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. He wanted to know when the improvement grant application would launch. Also in the chat, is it cumulative total project cost from March 2020 to present?
Yep. So expenses can be bundled as long as they are under the same EIN for the improvement grant. So same EIN can be different locations for the improvement grant. For the lease grant, it's per location. So it's an address base.
Okay. And we have another message. I have a trauma life coaching business and want to know the best route to go for assistance.
The type of assistance probably is pretty important. Yeah. Okay.
What you could do is you can send us an email, and I'm going to put an email in the chat and we can, if it's not a program that you qualify for us, we can give you some resources to our partners, such as small business development centers, the CDFIs, things of that nature, and we'll make sure we get those resources out to you if you don't find something on, within EDA that you would qualify for. And with those links, you can see if you qualify for our programs as well, because it has all of the eligibility requirements.
Somebody just asked if we run credit on the small business lease grant or the improvement grant, and we do not. They are not credit-based programs. What you will have to do is you will have to have your landlord fill out a landlord certification for the lease grant saying you're in good standing. And then for the improvement grant, we have a landlord certification making sure that the landlord knows about the improvements that you intend to make. So if you're not paid up on lease, that would be an issue, but we're not running credit on these products.
We do have a couple folks with hands raised, so would love to go to Bracy. If you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank y'all for this workshop. Much appreciated. Hi, Penny. I'm coming to see you. My question is basically, we have space, right? And it's in a multi-use building. And the building has storefront, but we don't. Like, what are our options far as with lease assistance?
In your lease, you have to be the one who is leasing whatever space is on the street level. It's not necessarily frontage, it's street level space, and it has to be reflected in your lease.
Yeah, so that means we wouldn't be eligible because our space is not street level.
Okay, so then not for the lease grant, but for the improvement grant, you would still be eligible if you were making any improvements.
So, and you said that those improvements can go back to March 2020?
They have to be after March 9th, 2020.
So as long as they're after March 9th, 2020, we're good.
On or after, yes. But they have to exceed $5,000 as well. 5,000 is the minimum.
That's not no problem. We did a major renovations. And also like, cause we developed a community learning center to help with like job skills and job enhancement. So we're looking to see what our options are for funding in that avenue with employee wages, with the retention of it.
So what you have to pay to utilize this program?
No, we have to pay employees to service clients.
Okay. I'm not sure what you're asking.
I was asking more or less, do you have any other programming that's gonna be able to assist with salaries?
No, not right
Okay.
now. So there's
Okay.
going to be a micro business loan that's
Okay.
supposed to be launched like maybe like November, December. So I would encourage you to do the same thing. Go to the bottom of NJEDA.com's homepage, sign up for our newsletter so that you're aware of when the micro business loan launches. So it's like
Okay.
super favorable terms. You wouldn't have to pay for 3 years. There's no interest. Like that was the last one. So I think that the new micro business loan is going to be similar or maybe even more flexible in terms. So that's going to launch and that would allow you to utilize it for payroll.
Okay.
And in addition to that, you also might want to check with the Department of Labor around workforce development to see whether or not they have any opportunities that would assist you with paying employees.
Okay.
And following up to what Diana is saying, and Maggie, I'm actually going to put the link for the Business Action Center, which is going to be business.newjersey.gov. And they have an array of programs throughout the state that are being offered. So being connected with that website is also very helpful to all businesses, knowing what's going on in the state with all the agencies.
Thank you.
We do have one more, Roland with his hand up. If you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, hi, thank you. Yeah, another question I had for the small business improvement grant. When we say equipment that is purchased for the business, would computer equipment qualify as well for the office?
Hardware, not software.
Hardware meaning like laptops, desktop computers for the staff, that type of equipment.
Correct.
Okay, so that qualifies. That's great. And another question while I'm on is I don't know if that's something you would know, but there was a new program that was just enacted, Return to and Earn Incentive Program. I think it was signed by Governor Murphy just recently. Do you know when it will go live by any chance?
I don't. It's a Department of Labor program, right, Diana?
I believe so. I'm not certain, but we can definitely get back to you on that one.
Thank you so much. I will post my email in the chat.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then we have Rosa, who has a question as well. You can unmute yourself, Rosa.
Good morning. Yeah, I was looking at the video, and this week I submitted the application for the lease grant, but I realized I didn't realize when I did it that it was only for new leases. Am I going to have any trouble with this because we have been with the business paying rent for 3 years, so it's not a new lease. But I already submitted.
That's okay. If you're not eligible, we'll make that determination when we review.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you didn't have a new lease, okay, so that's one way to not be eligible, but also have you renewed or amended your lease at all in the last year?
No, because I saw a title that it says lease grant, but I didn't realize it was for new leases. So I submitted. Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So I won't have trouble. Just if I'm don't apply, I will be denied, and that's all.
That's all. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome.
I don't see anybody else with their hand raised, but we may have some more questions that have come in through the chat. Let's take a look. And just to reiterate, the improvement grant program will probably be open towards the end of November or beginning of December this year. And we've gotten that question a few times just to make sure, just to reiterate that fact. This is a, okay. First, going back to the lease question, the lease grant, is the lease grant a one-time bulk payment based on initial requests, or and what is the maximum amount that can be requested?
So it is a disbursement of 2 payments of 20% of your annual lease payment. So once you've gone through the review process and we've determined that you are eligible, we would calculate your lease 12 months at that time. We would calculate what your annual lease payment is, and then 20% of that annual lease payment. So that would happen once you execute your grant agreement. And then a year later, 12 months later, we're going to calculate your annual lease payment again, and whatever it is at that time, because usually leases will escalate by a little bit every year. So then we'll calculate that second payment 12 months later. 20% of that number would be the second disbursement.
And is the lease only available for commercial spaces? Assuming
Yes.
like no in-home offices or things like that. And we do have about 15 more minutes for questions.
Somebody just asked who they should contact with additional questions. They should contact Small Business Services at NJEDA.com. You could also contact customer care, which is on EDA's website as well, but Small Business Services at NJEDA.com. Yep, thanks, Carla. She just put it in the chat.
Can folks speak on the micro loan program? This question is specifically if cannabis-based businesses can apply.
So yes, cannabis-based businesses will be able to apply. It's something that we're planning for, but that program is in development and it's not been board approved yet. So it's very hard to provide details. You know, there have been predecessor micro business loans, so I can say that the terms will be very, very flexible. We'll be flexible on credit scores. We do our best with the micro business loans to have the most favorable terms we can possibly have. So yes, cannabis businesses are on our radar, and we think that they will be eligible, but nothing's definite.
Someone else has specifically asked about food businesses, and I'm not. I mean, I'm assuming beyond a restaurant. I don't. If anybody can speak to that, if those are applicable for any of the programs, any restrictions or anything specific that food businesses should be aware of.
No restrictions.
And business improvement grants such as HVAC, I assume would also qualify if they were done post March 9th, 2020. Yes?
So it would. I just want to reiterate an important fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing installation, if your contractor is doing installation for you, I just want to make you aware that right now there are affirmative action requirements and a couple of extra pieces of paperwork if installation is being done by someone else besides yourself. So if you have a contractor with over 4 employees, that's when the affirmative action requirements are required. So that checklist and the documentation that you need is on the website, but I want to flag that now. So something like HVAC or something that requires a contractor with over 4 employees is the trigger.
Yes, and just to reiterate what Carla mentioned in the chat, that the lease grant is accepting applications now. That link is there in the chat as well. You do not have to own, actually, this is for renting commercial space, not for owning commercial space, as someone else asked as well. And I believe that those are all of the questions I've seen. If anyone else, we have Marisol would actually like to ask a question live. So I'm going to unmute you. You can unmute yourself, Marisol, and go ahead and ask your question. You are still muted. That's not something I can unmute. I can do for you. Right. I think Marisol maybe had her question answered. So we're good there. So this is a question specifically about nonprofits and purchasing properties. Are there any programs specifically looking at owning properties instead of leasing that are on the radar that may be coming up and may specifically speak to nonprofits? I'm not aware of anything.
Yeah, I mean, nothing specifically for not-for-profits, but, you know, we do have our direct loan, which you can use to purchase fixed assets. You know, so that's an option. But that is, you know, one of our core products. So you would need, you know, a good credit score and be able to provide collateral.
So that that direct loan program is really for those things that don't fit in these other programs. And all nonprofits in New Jersey can apply for anything that says small business. So just that was a question that had come in previously as well, just to clarify, anything that says small businesses does include nonprofits in the state of New Jersey as well. So there's a specific question about the improvement grant reimbursing. Does it reimburse for purchases already made with a traditional loan? You can speak that.
If you can provide the documentation that you paid for those things, then they would apply.
I'm going to make a last call for any other questions. If I missed something and you want to resubmit it real quick in the chat, if you want to raise your hand, you can do that as well. But I think we've got a couple minutes left for questions if you're available, but otherwise I think we're in good shape. We will send out the recording. Diana, you have, there is a question that just came in. We have ground street space as well as apartments above. Do improvements to the apartments qualify for the improvement grant?
They do not. Okay. So, you know, we are letting home-based businesses apply for the improvement grant for furniture, fixtures, and equipment, just not renovations. So if there was a business operating out of one of those apartments, yes, they could apply for the improvement grant, but only for furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
All right. With that, one more from Roland. I'm going to let him speak again. Go ahead.
I thank you. Just one more question, an improvement grant. If the business has more than one offices and they did, you know, improvements in both areas, would both of them qualify if they both under the same EIN number?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Diana, if you want to close us out.
Sure.
Not seeing anything else.
Okay, with no other questions coming in, we just want to take this time to Darren just had a question real quick. Is production equipment eligible for improvement grant?
So for the improvement grant, we want more permanent types of equipment. So that's why we don't allow for software. We have decided that forklifts are okay, but lots of rolling stock and things that can go, between facilities and things like that would not be eligible. So I'm not exactly sure what production equipment you mean, but it has to be more permanent.
Okay.
All right, and then we've got Stephen, who's.
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, I've been trying to ask this question, but I guess you didn't see it in the chat. I heard the answer to my question about cannabis for a micro loan program. My question is, what about for the lease or the improvement program, the grant program? So would that fall under that or no?
Yeah. I don't see why you wouldn't be eligible as long as you meet the other requirements, as long as you have a commercial lease and you can provide us with that lease.
And when do you think, or do you don't know when that's going to be available?
The lease grant is available now. It's open since the 20th.
No, but that would be available to cannabis as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us today on this session. As we said early on, there will be more sessions to come. We will, as more information rolls out, we will definitely push that information to your municipal officials. And as both Maggie and Carla indicated, please follow the website and go to the website to make sure that you are on top of all of the services and programs that will be coming online in the very near future. I want to take this time again to thank Mike and Penny for their partnership in Paterson and for the work that they're doing in Paterson to ensure that their businesses receive all of the information that they need. And with that, Penny or Mike, if you have any closing comments.
No, we'd like to thank you very much for doing this for us, and we appreciate it, truly. We hope our businesses will be applying. I think we had a pretty good group of people that have asked some good questions. I was very interested about the cannabis question because that is something that we've been getting a lot of. So I was glad that you were able to answer that question. Thank you very much.
Perfect. I don't know, Orlando.
Orlando's from the Chamber of Commerce. So
hey, good afternoon at this point, ladies. Thank you again. Once again, my name is Orlando Cruz, president of the Paterson Chamber of Commerce. I'm also the executive director of the Downtown Paterson Business District, our central business district here in the city of Paterson. Thank you, Penny and Mike as well. I just want to let everyone know that I will have a link to all of this information on the Chamber's website. So for those Patersonians that are familiar with our website, you will have a link that will guide you to the NJEDA website for any further information. And I'm also always in constant communication with Penny and Mike as well. So thank you, ladies, for taking the time and spending it here with us in Paterson and extending this information to our business community. So thank you again.
Thank you. And with that, we are just going to go ahead and close and wish you all a great afternoon and look forward to talking to you again. Bye-bye.